Question.
Krishnamurti says, look at the thing in the face, just face it straight on. Don't go to a distraction or whatnot, whether it's fear, lust, whatever the thing you're feeling. You posted something the other day about how when mind and objects actually face each other, then the confusion of mind dissipates. What are you looking at? Like, let's say you feel lust, you feel anger. What do you, close your eyes, what are you focusing on or facing?
Those are words. I can't go there from the word.
Can I do a negative definition then?
Well, but I'm curious about this Krishnamurti thing, because this seems like the opposite of what I was saying. He said, look at it in the face and go into it. Is that right? Is that the correct? Is that what Krishnamurti says?
Krishnamurti's, not to take exactly what he's saying, but Krishnamurti is like, let's say you feel this anger, you feel whatever. He says, face it. Don't go on your phone. Don't start thinking about psychologizing.
Okay, so he's speaking of objects, right?
Yeah.
And in my tweet or my zeet or by whatever that thing's called on X, a post, I say that when you face an object, there cannot be any. How can there be any communication? Speaking conventionally. I mean, this is a big problem. You don't know about IT, integrated information theory, and you don't know about the brain science theories that are going on now. But the problem is this: if this is made of something solid, let's say, but all we're seeing is the light reflected off of it, and that's creating this image, right? So now we have an image in here, right, or the representation of an image inside here in the through the retina to the visual cortex. Now what? Sooner or later, something's got to look. Sooner or later, something's got to be able to see, and we can't find that. I mean, you can take the retinal cells, or you can take the eardrum, and you can see the vibrations. But at some point down that chain, there has to be something that's able to see, able to hear, right? It's like what they call the hard problem of qualia. Well, the reason it's a hard problem is because they're going about it with a false assumption. But so the point is that these also refer to not just psychological things, but also theoretical things. So let's go back to the Krishnamurti. What was he actually trying to say?
Let's do a specific one. I feel lust come on. I feel like I want to have sex or something like that, the normal autonomous response. I close my eyes. What am I, through Krishnamurti, am I looking at this arousal feeling? Am I looking at the...
Don't use Krishnamurti for lust. The guy's a little different. All right? Okay. Wired different culture, different everything. Let's not use lust and Krishnamurti. How about, and also, okay, so let's use fear or something. Okay. Krishnamurti was afraid that his trust was going to be decimated by the guy who was managing his trust while he was still alive, and he had to take him to court. So there was a fear. My fear is that you, sir, if you keep going the way you're doing, you're going to rob me blind. I'm grossly oversimplifying, and I'm only giving one side. You're going to rob me blind, and I need the money for my mission. So I'm going to take you to court, sir, and I'm going to sue you for misappropriation of funds, let's say. I don't know the details. So he had a fear. He confronted that fear, and he got rid of the source of that fear. What's the problem on this level? Now you tell me about a fear, and then we can try and approach it the same way.
I am afraid of spiders.
Are you afraid of spiders, or are you afraid of thinking about spiders? How many spiders have attacked you in the last 2 years?
Zero.
Okay, but you're afraid that they're going to come in the next 2 years and attack you. Are these real spiders or are these hypothetical spiders? Are these thoughts in your head that you're afraid of that could be substituted out with any other thought? You could be afraid of polka dots. You could be afraid of red balloons. There are people that are, you could be afraid of climate change. All right. So my question is it a legitimate fear about something, let's call it tangible, or is it an imaginary fear that's created just to keep your ego in charge?
It's imaginary, except for the 6 species I know worldwide that if I run into them, they are medically significant.
Okay, so a brown recluse, right?
Yeah.
All right, so when was the last time you saw a brown recluse?
I don't think I've ever seen one.
Oh.
Except online.
Well, why aren't you afraid of black mambos? Is that the snake, the black mambo?
Black mamba.
Mamba is a snake, mambo is a dance. I keep getting mixed up. So Sherlock Holmes, have you read the mystery of the black mamba or something like that?
No.
So why are you afraid of spiders and not snakes? I'm just curious.
I've always liked snakes since I was a kid. I thought they're cool. I mean, if there was...
What about getting trampled by a water buffalo? Are you worried about getting trampled by a water buffalo? Because you've not seen one of those either, right?
Yeah.
So now, well, you've probably seen a water buffalo, but you haven't seen a brown recluse. So what enterprise are we engaged in here? Imaginary fear about imaginary objects.
Yeah.
So that's the ruse of the mind, right? It's trying to keep you in line. But the fear we've established, you could substitute. Now, what if the spider had 6 legs instead of 8? Would it scare you?
Yeah, because it's insects that get big enough.
Well, brown recluse doesn't get that big.
No, they're quite small. A brown recluse with 6 legs would probably still be scary. Maybe not as much, because I think with 10.
How about with no legs? It's just sitting there. Help me! Help me!
Much less scary. Yeah.
Oh, would you be scared of a brown recluse with no legs sitting there asking for your help?
Probably not. No.
All right. What if it had 2 legs, but they were like on the opposite ends, like this? So it could flip itself over, but that's all it could do. Would that scare you?
Honestly, like no. In the moment, if I walk up on that thing and it quickly moves, then yeah, I'd be afraid for a second, and then.
But you should be. But you should be. That's like a horse. If it startles, right? That's the body doing the body's thing. You don't need all this other stuff. You just created all this other stuff on top of, well, there's 6 different kinds, and this one's in India, this one's in China, this one's in North America, this one's big, this one's small. You could do that forever, right?
Yeah.
But so deconstruct it. If you need to do it literally, do it literally.
So here's the problem then. I think I got the problem. I've identified an end.
Have you ever had spiders in teriyaki batter? They're flash fried. Yeah, they're like little, you go to sushi bars and sometimes they'll like dip it in batter and
No, I've only been...
Don't.
No.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
Here's the problem that I guess is motivating all these questions about fear. Listening to others. I imagine... Okay. I imagine myself... I woke up, right? I woke up and I felt... Now I'm closer to God, and my life has started. But then I thought I was at the end of the road.
Yeah.
Then I find out I'm not at the end of the road. And I've actually felt I've gotten, I don't know, this is a weird term. I don't know if it's like closer to God or whatever it is. Deepening of that awareness.
Aligned with the way. You're more aligned with the way.
More aligned. Since through study and work and learning, whatnot, thanks to the Sufis, thanks to all of the traditions we
and
have.
Self-critique.
Yeah.
And self-improvement and trying and being sincere and making the effort. Okay, good. Keep going.
I've listened to some people or read about, and I've identified some people who I consider as masters or further along than I am, or closer, more aligned with the way.
Ask them how long the road is. Ask them how long the road goes. Ask the masters how long it goes.
I'd like to.
Good. Do that. All right, keep going.
I've heard from them or read from them about this fear thing essentially becoming what I imagine to be eradicated. And so I imagine myself as being further away from God, and I would like to get closer to God, and I imagine part of that, I'm creating this, I guess, this projection, that like I need to get rid of this fear of spiders, because as long as I'm sitting in my bed and I'm afraid of spiders, like I'm missing God in that scenario.
Right. You need to replace your fear of spiders with a fear of something else that's legitimate. Because there's no spider. I mean, if you were being attacked by spiders, I'd say right away, get out of the house, run out, do something, you know. There's brown recluses everywhere, all over the place, on the furniture, on your skin. Oh my God. But there's not any there, right? So what has actually happened is you're condensing and displacing. Now, I could give you 1,000 reasons why you're afraid of spiders. Most of them have to do with your experiences as a child and with your parents, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the point. The point is that is it's a placeholder. And so the questions you have to ask yourself is, what are you really afraid of? Right? And it's not six-legged insects, because you already told me that a four-legged one, if it jumped right, would scare you too, right? So that's, I'm being silly, but that's the body, okay? That's the normal defenses of the body, right?
Yeah.
It's like an elephant, I think, and a mouse. They don't like mice, I'm told. I don't know. But this is different. Here, what's the real... Okay, let's say you do get bit by a spider.
Yeah.
And you're asleep, you didn't even notice it. Now what?
Flu, like the worst case would be, well, I mean, usually it would be like a bee bite or a bee sting. Worst case, I imagine, is flu-like symptoms and seizing, and you don't get to the anti-venom on time and you die.
Okay, so you die.
Yeah.
Now what? What's the problem?
Well, I have no idea.
You don't want to die.
Yeah.
And you're still so identified with your corpus, with your body and your brain and these two eyeballs and these ears and so on and so forth. You think that they're you, and you think you can be killed. So I'd say that you haven't woken up as much as you will eventually.
Yeah.
All right? Because if there's a fear for your bodily... I mean, it's not to be ridiculous, right?
Yeah, don't go jump in a pit.
Yeah, don't go jump in a pit of brown recluse spiders. Please, don't do that. I'd feel horrible. On the other hand, if you did that and you climbed out and you just brushed them off you, that might not be too bad. But the thing is, you're not afraid of spiders. You're afraid of death.
And pain.
Well, pain, yeah, okay, pain.
Less so.
Why not suffering? How about pain and suffering and death? How about old age, sickness, suffering, and death? Welcome to the human condition.
Yeah.
So the question is, are you going to master that before you die, or are you going to die and find out the easy way?
So this goes back to my question. I would like to master that 100%.
All right. Well, I'm sure opportunities will present themselves. But this is what I meant in the beginning when Carlos has to make a decision. Is he going to jump or not jump? Is he going to face his worst fears or turn away out of fear? And I know, that's all a little dramatic, a little histrionic, and a little, Mexican, frankly. And I love it. So I don't know, though, what kind of abyss other folks have had to jump into, but I suspect they're there. Mm-hmm. But that I don't want to like lay any suppositions on you. That was my experience. That's been my impression. And you mentioned Tolle and other folks. Yeah. And then Krishnamurti himself. I mean, he changed his tune entirely after his brother died. Right, and I wonder if that's not what he actually woke up, because his brother it was his world to him, everything. Can you imagine being kidnapped at that young age and taken to Britain, and the only thing you've got of your childhood is your brother, and then your brother dies. I mean, I think that had a huge impact on him. But, I don't know. I wasn't there. So I think it's a fear of death, not a fear of spiders. But what do you think?
Yeah, death and suffering. I am afraid of like the actual physical pain and how I interpret it is like, I know that I don't like it and that works.
Well, here's where there's no greater teacher than Jesus, right? How did Jesus deal with that? You want to talk about courage?
The actual, you mean going in and being nailed on the cross?
I mean, that's his teaching, is it not?
Didn't he have I was just reread Matthew, and he had the knights up on top of the hill with Peter when he brought Peter up, and he goes and prays, and he says the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Okay, good. Oh, Jesus said that? When did he say that exactly?
So he's telling them I have to go into town, and they're going to kill me, and then the resurrection's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And there's, no, it won't happen. Okay, then he goes and he takes... after he tells Peter before the day ends and the crow, what is it? Before
the cock crows twice, you will have denied me thrice.
Yeah. After that.
And upon this rock, I'm going to build the church.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jesus, yeah. Yeah. Everything about Jesus' life is a teaching, it seems to me.
So after that, maybe Matthew 25, 6 or 7, or before it happens, the crucifixion, he like goes up to the hill and he brings a couple disciples. I think Peter's one of them or whatever. And he prays 3 times. He leaves them, they fall asleep, and he comes back and he's like, why the heck did you guys fall asleep? I've been up all day. Like, you can't stay awake for an hour. So yeah, but he goes, he prays, and when he's praying, it says that like I don't know, he either had shakes or something, or a fear or a sorrow or something like that. He comes back and he says something about how like the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak to go in. And then the last time he prays, he surrenders to God and he says,
not my will, but not my will, but yours be done.
Yeah, if this is my cup, please, I don't want it or whatever. But and then at the last time he says, if this is my cup, then I will drink from it.
Have you read it in the Armenian?
In the Aramaic?
Yeah, in the Aramaic.
No, I just had is it the lab? I forget the translator who does it. I just ordered it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it'd be good to make, because these are really, really important parts of the Bible, right?
Yeah.
The most important parts for Christians. And so, yeah, Jesus, I think, this is a hard thing to be discussing with people who are starting out, because they have these magical fantasies that there's going to be no more of the human stuff, and in a way they're right. But to say that there's not a struggle is to not know anything about the teaching of Jesus, even on the cross. Do you see what I'm saying? Now,
yeah.
But it's vital that we get the right and we get the accurate wording, please. I mean, so because this is important stuff, right? And so it's very, very disheartening to find out that, you know, you've been raised for 60 years on the wrong, on an arbitrary translation. So Christians need to get on the stick on this, and on the contrary, they're proud of their ignorance. It's not okay. It's not okay, and we need to take a page from the Muslims and get a little bit more serious about our own religion. But I'll stop the advertisement for Christianity at the moment. Okay. So does that help, or these are huge topics, but I don't think it's fear of spiders. It's fear of death.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I've gotten that yeah, but like then practically, I guess this is why I ask: how do you approach fear of death without it getting dangerous? Because I can't just go out there and like wrestle with a mamba. And see, because for now...
Oh, you got much bigger than mamba to wrestle with. You'll see. A mamba's easy. You just cut off its head with a shovel or a hoe. Yeah. No, you'll see. Don't worry. It's like... I remember once... I had this psychoanalytic professor. Her name was Doris Benaran. She'd lived through World War II. German or Austrian woman, huge breasts like this. She's an old lady, white hair, this, that. She's a inveterate smoker. And when we were doing supervision with her, the thing we would report to our fellows was how long an ash did she drop onto her bosom, right? Because she She smoked and the ash would just fall onto her breasts and just stay there, you know, on the fabric. So this old lady, you know, I remember I just loved my work. I was having a great time. I was a resident. I was working, you know, 80, 100-hour weeks and just loving every minute of it. And I was very, very happy. And I went in and, you know, this is psychoanalyst, right? There's no such thing as happy all the time or whatever. So I said, Dr. Bernaran, I don't know, what's wrong here? Is something wrong with me because I feel really, really happy? And she goes, oh, David, you know, and drops the ashes right here. She says, you don't have to worry about being sad. Just be happy. There'll be time. You don't need to worry about times to be sad. That'll be taken care of. I'm not doing it justice or the accent, but the point was this, is that just live here in the present, right? And a lot of these things just vanish. I mean, you'd be lucky to be able to be killed by a spider with some of the stuff going on. I mean, if you look at, you know, so I mean, you know, this is where facing death literally is very, very useful for many folks. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that, but there's little deaths and there's big deaths, and the death of the ego is the big one. The body, what's that? We know that's already announced its departure. That thing won't even be here in 100 years. And these guys that think they're going to like have you live forever, well, they're going to have a piece of your tissue live forever, and the machine's going to, you know, and that's not good, because now we got a whole new conscious creature, right? Or maybe it is good, who knows? But for us right now, that's not our concern. Our concern right now is the topic of fear, which I'm having a hard time eliciting. Godzilla, I mean, 20-story ties just came and he steps on the house and just squashes it with me in it. It's not a bad way to go. I mean, it's not, I mean, see, as you get older, you'll start to realize there's good ways, better ways to go than bad ways to go. And not going's not the issue. The question is how. And so it changes the valence of everything. And so to elicit fear right now would be very, very difficult. Unless I think about this thing not recording properly. In which case, I don't know if fear is the right word. So, all right.